A negation is the not version of an event. You open the door, you do not open the door. If our event is A, the negation is either written with a line over the A, or sometimes A with a superscripted C, or squiggle A. Now, a useful rule in math and in life: phrase events positively. For example, let's try to rewrite the event, "It's not Tuesday." So, a useful guide: cut the not. This is the negation of the event, "It is Tuesday." So if we let T be the event, "It is Tuesday," then this event is the negation of T, which we'll write T with a line over it. When dealing with a negation, it is vitally important to determine what the negation applies to. Commas can kill. Compare "the book was not read and enjoyed" with "the book was not read, comma, and enjoyed," then write both symbolically. Now, both phrases describe compound events. With simple events, "the book was not read," "the book was enjoyed." Since "the book was not read" is a negation of "the book was read," we'll use R, "the book was read," E, "the book was enjoyed." In the first phrase, no comma separates read from and enjoyed, so we can assume that the not applies to both. So this is the negation of read and enjoyed, and we'd write this as overline R and E. We sometimes omit the parentheses, though that's bad form. Moreover, since it's the negation, if the event occurred, then what didn't happen is that the book was read and the book was enjoyed. Later on, we'll be a little bit more specific. In the second phrase, a comma separates not read from and enjoyed. So the not only applies to the book being read. We'd write this as not read and enjoyed. Since this is a conjunction, if the event occurred, then both the book was not read and also the book was enjoyed. It's not obvious that not read and enjoyed is different from not read, comma, and enjoyed. However, it's more obvious that our notation is different. But might they still be the same, just written differently? No. Let's describe a situation where not R and E did not occur, but not R and E did. Since not R and E is a conjunction, but it did not occur, then at least one of "the book was not read," "the book was enjoyed" didn't happen. Since the negation of R and E occurred, then R and E did not. And since R and E is a conjunction, it must be that at least one of "the book was read," "the book was enjoyed" did not occur. So note that if the book was read and not enjoyed, then not R did not occur because the book was read. So not R and E did not occur since a conjunction requires both to happen. Meanwhile, R and E did not occur since E didn't happen. The book wasn't enjoyed. So the negation of R and E did occur. So here's a situation where not R and E did not occur, but not R and E did. Let's try that more generally. Suppose A and B are two events. Let's describe a situation where not A and B occurs, but not A and not B does not. In order for not A and B to occur, then A and B didn't occur. and A and B would occur if A occurred and B occurred, so at least one of these didn't happen. Meanwhile, not A and not B would occur if A didn't occur and B didn't occur, so at least one of these didn't happen. So, putting this together, suppose A occurred but B did not. Then A and B did not occur, so not A and B did occur. Meanwhile, not A and not B did not occur. Note that in order for A and B to occur, A occurred and B occurred. So if not A and B occurred, then A and B didn't occur. So either A did not occur or B did not occur. And this suggests that the negation of A and B is the negation of A or the negation of B, and this leads to an important rule of logic known as De Morgan's rules. The negation of a conjunction is the disjunction of the negations. In other words, not A and B is not A or not B, and the negation of a disjunction is the conjunction of the negations. Not A or B is not A and not B. So let's consider, in order to pass a class, you must pass the final and have a grade of at least 60% on the remaining material. Describe the negation of passing the class. Our simple events are, let's call them X, passing the final, and G, having a grade of at least 60% on the remaining material. Since this is an AND, it's a conjunction, X and G. The negation of X and G, a useful way to remember De Morgan's rules is that you change from a conjunction to a disjunction, and vice versa, and negate both events. So it's AND will switch to an OR, and will negate X as well as G. And remember, you should always answer the question in the language it was asked. This was phrased in English, and so we should answer it in English. So we'll interpret this. Since this is a disjunction, then one of two things happened. Either the negation of X, you didn't pass the final, or the negation of G, you didn't get at least 60% on the remaining material. Or let's consider a different one. You could become a technician by graduating from a technical school or by passing a certification exam. Who can't become a technician? So our simple events are G, graduating from a technical school, C, passing a certification exam. And this is an OR disjunction, G or C. So the negation will switch the OR to an AND negate both terms. And so again, answering in English, not G, you didn't graduate from a technical school, and not C, you didn't pass a certification exam.